Oh. Good afternoon, and before I start this installment of John's analysis of tillering a bow, I would like to say to those of you who would like to see build-alongs and complete construction, say, of bows, arrows, quivers, I have thus far lacked the technology in order to edit. But this is a funny story. I think it's funny. So there I was. My beautiful wife, who I'm so lucky to have as a partner, and I were running errands, like little mice, searching for cheese in the maze of the city that we live within easy driving distance of, getting our little bits of cheese from here and there, part of the labyrinth. And we stopped into Verizon. I'm like a cheap phone person. I just use it for making these kind of off-the-cuff videos and texting and using as a telephone. I'm not into getting the latest technology. However, so I'm sitting there while she's discussing the service plan, and I look over, and there's this virtual reality thing you stick on your face. And so I asked the Verizon people about that, and this guy took his personal virtual reality thing, and his phone stuck it in there. And so I'm sitting there, and keep in mind, I'm still somewhat, kind of foggy because of this protracted illness. And so he put a roller coaster video, not just a roller coaster like thing for me to watch, virtual reality, this one through a cave. And so I'm sitting there, and you actually get the motion. And I admit it, there was parts of it where I had to close my eyes because it's freaky. It's freaky real. You're like going through this cave with a roller coaster, and there's parts where the tracks are broken, so you have to jump over these large abysses, and you can look all over the place and down these holes. And long story short, I wound up buying this thing. What the heck is it called? A Galaxy V8 or something? Like the most advanced phone known to humankind. And they threw in this free virtual reality thing. And so, where was I going with this? I'm going to be able to edit because it has a much better camera than that phone right there. And also there's editing programs and apps, or whatever you want to call them, in the phone. So now, when I get this thing on the 20th of April, I'll be able to actually use my phone, better camera, and edit, and I can make build-along videos. And so, for those of you who are just interested in seeing build-along and actual, decent videos, I will be able to soon produce them. And also, if you're interested in virtual reality, just go to a Verizon store and ask them to stick that thing on your head and take a roller coaster ride through a cave. It's freaky. I can even sit on the moon and watch movies. Okay, tillering. This is the Mollegabet style bow that I've been working on. And it's dried to the point where I'm able to actually put a bend in it. However, for those of you with computer vision, you'll be able to see that the bend is not perfect. It's pretty close, but it's not perfect. And I need to work with it because of the surface. If you have rawhide backing or you have sinew backing, it's not an instant process because this is a variable, this surface, and it's a thick rawhide that I put on, that I prepared from a deer that I gathered myself. So, it's not finished to the micrometer tolerances of, say, a pine hollow longbow set of strips, but it's coming along, and so I have to just gently flex it and relax it and take my time, because this surface, this unknown quantity of rawhide, and if it was sinew, it'd be the same thing. It'll relax, it'll change, it will adjust to its surroundings, and so the tillering is not an instant process. It's got a reasonable bend for now, but I will spend a couple days letting it relax, drawing it back, shooting arrows through it, and just seeing where the final lie of the rawhide will begin. Now tillering. On a bow like this, it has the needly tips and then wide limbs. It is possible that you can get propeller twisting, and you can see that this is pretty darn even. It doesn't have a propeller twist, or kind of, well, actually that's self-explanatory. A propeller twist looks like a propeller. Now suppose you have a propeller twist in your bow. You are aren't necessarily resigned to keep that propeller twist. Now there's certain things that can happen with board bows. If it's a biased ring bow, that the growth rings actually go like this or like this, as in rift sawn, and not flat sawn like this one, you might get an instance where you have some heartwood here and some sapwood here, and that differential is just enough to make it wonky. Throwing it out, if the heartwood is a little stiffer than the sapwood, you can gain a propeller twist in a Mollegabet, because these are prone to this more than other bows when they have wide limbs. If you're in the Mollegabets and you've been having problems with the propeller twist, first thing is you want to make sure that the levers are even. It's not just a matter of getting the center tips lined up with the center handle. You have to have the entire needle tip in alignment. That's the first thing. I mean, you have to be muy preciso. My wife is learning Spanish. I need to. I really do, considering that I've got Spanish roots. Or Mexican roots. Mayan. We actually don't have any Spanish in our line. My grandpa was Mayan. But anyway, if you have a propeller twist, think of it. I'm looking at this limb. It has a twist in it. And you can actually see that, let's pretend it has a propeller twist. This side of the limb, this side, is stiffer than this side, and it's throwing it off. And so when you sand it, when you're tillering it or scraping it, scrape the stiff side down. Now if you do have a heartwood on one side, sapwood on the other, it's going to have a differential in thickness throughout the limb. And so you have to ask yourself, would I rather have a little propeller twist or have a visually asymmetric bow where I had to scrape down the stiffer side more than the thinner side to get rid of that propeller twist? So, you know, play the balancing card on that. If it is flat sawn like this, or it's a homogeneous stiffness of wood through here, you may have just gotten this side thicker than this side, so you thin it down. Looking at which side is stiffer, by that you see the one limb that's stiffer will have less of a bend through here. If it's really bad, I'm exaggerating here, there won't be a curve like the surface of the earth. It'll be straight, and you flip it over and this one's bent. And so thin down the stiff side. Thin down the stiff side. Now as far as tillering, there are many brands of tillering out there. If you have a compass tillered bow, an English longbow for example, it will be a perfect circle through here. If it's elliptical tiller, it'll be like an ellipse, you know, 2 focal points. It'll be less of a bend in the center, and then an accelerating bend radius, which just means this section has less bend than this, which has less bend than this. It's an ever-increasing thing. Elliptical tiller. Now, typical longbow tiller, American-style longbow, or this, narrow, deep handle, non-bending. The heels, if you want, the fades, where it kind of fades in width, and then the bend will take part outside of this. Now, I've got this limb width length from here to here, and then it doesn't bend. And so one way to do it would be to have a nice even bend, starting from outside of the fades all the way to the fades of your tip. Now if you notice my Mollegabets, and I'll show you, and this may look screwy, but it's intentional. Oh, left-handed. There we go. You ready? Keep in mind it's still relaxing, so I'm not worrying about the perfect tiller yet. I drop back here, and you notice very little bend right here. Most of the bend is out here. Intentional. Because these are over 2 inches wide, and it's rawhide backed, at 55 pounds, which this is, at 28 inches, not overstressed. It's fine. I do not need to worry about getting as much bend throughout the entire length, because the portions that are bending on this bow are not overstressed. And so I can play with my my tillering profile. Very scientific. And so if it looks like this, where all the bend is, there's slight bend here, but most of the bend is out, that's fine. I'm not overstressing it. I can get away with it. Get away with it. Very English of me. And typically when you see that, not much bend and all out here, that is called whippy tiller. I love these terms, whippy tiller. And so this could be considered a whippy tillered bow. The reason I do this is, first of all, I can do a whippy tiller on this without overstressing it, so I'm good there. The reason I whippy tiller these, boy am I whippy, is because I believe, and I might be wrong, but this is my belief, and it has served me well because these have good performance, flight shooting, hunting weight arrows. I believe that having the bend more out from the handle, further out from the handle than starting right here, I believe it adds a little bit of speed to the bow. It's a matter of moving mass. If I was to have, let's picture this, bend here and not so much bend out here, that is a long lever arm. So this bending, you know, theoretically again, it's like taking an apple on a stick to whip it, you know, or an ladle kind of a thing. I believe, and what I've seen on these, is that I actually get a little more speed if I've got the bend out here because there's not as much mass to move. High acceleration than if I started the bend here. Then I've got this mass to accelerate. You know, nothing is for free. If I could have the response speed equal through here as I would if it's whippy tillered, then yes, it would be faster to have all the bend here. But then again, I'm moving mass. And so that is why I believe getting a little on the whippy side is good here. Because if the bend is out here, there's less mass to move, higher acceleration, and it is very likely that I'll have as much force. If this is a 55-pound boat, 28 inches, if the bending is here, there's only a limited amount of force to move the mass of the tip. So I have less mass to move for that 55 pounds than if I do the whippy side. And I like to think about that stuff, you know. It's a board bow, so it's homogeneous. It's a homogeneous material. And so I can impart my will on it, like I said before. And so I'm able to just do what I wish with this, regardless of, say, waves and snakes or knots. I can actually get more technical in the design. And again, you know, I'm not really comfortable with being like people viewing me in this way. I'm just a goof with a camera that likes to make bows, and I'm perfectly comfortable with somebody saying, "John, you're full of crap. That's wrong." I will think about that. You don't want to have such an open mind that everything falls out, but it's good to be responsive to people that understand stuff. Just like a comment about rawhide backing. Gosh, was that Snake River Stick Bow that said that? I believe it was. Hey Snake, how's it going? You mentioned about using a dog chewy bone for this, and it was very thick, and it took a long time to sand it down after you did it, so you just buy it from Mike the Man Yancey. That he was comparing the speed, and having a thicker rawhide layer doesn't add speed. And I never really thought about that because I've never used rawhide from doggy bones, cowhide probably. And so I appreciated that. So, you know, you have comments, don't be afraid to like share your views with me. That's fine, I don't mind it. And again, as always, I wish you a great day, and thank you for being such a wonderful viewing audience. Primitive Bows, man, it's a nice community, and I'm proud to be part of it, and you should be too. You may not have started making your bows yet, but you're still part of the community. Have a great day.